An unpleasant public transport experience for some mainland visitors after New Year's Eve celebrations in the city. An electrical substation fire leaves people being trapped in lifts in various districts. And a powerful earthquake rocks central Japan, triggering warnings for residents to flee some coastal areas. Hello and welcome to TVB News. It's the first day of 2024. Some mainlanders say they will not visit Hong Kong again for the New Year's Eve countdown in future after they got stuck in queues overnight, waiting for public transport to cross the border. Nearly 200,000 mainlanders visited the city on Sunday, a record single-day high for the last year. Mimo Singhai reports.
This massive queue was seen outside Central train station during the early morning of New Year's Day. All of the people there were mainlanders heading home after celebrating New Year's Eve in Hong Kong. However, it was mission impossible for many of them. While bus route N73 heads to Huanggang Port, not everyone could get on board because the bus was full. Some tried to take a taxi, but many drivers said they were out of service. Some travelers decided to sit outside the station and wait for the first train going to the border crossing, but that train wouldn't be available until just before 6 a.m. This man described the return journey as a dreadful experience and said everyone was exhausted. This woman who came to the city with her friend also complained about the travel arrangements. "I won't come to Hong Kong for countdown activities in future," she added. This man said too many people wanted to see the fireworks and came to Hong Kong, leading to such a crowded scene. A similar scene in Mongkok after the ticketing system for cross-border shuttle buses was out of order. Some travelers said they had been waiting for almost 6 hours. Police arrived to keep order. Lawmaker Lau Kuo-fan said more cross-border checkpoints should be in operation 24 hours a day. Lau also said the opening hours of the two railway passenger checkpoints, Lo Hu and Lok Ma Chau, should be extended to 2 a.m. Lawmaker Michael Tien, meanwhile, criticized the government for not extending the opening hours of the checkpoints. "The management was awful. I don't know what happened. Did the government not foresee that?" he asked. Mims 9, TVB News.
Many residents were trapped in lifts in Qingyi and Shatin today. The incidents were caused by a blaze that broke out at an electrical substation in Qingyi North. Heavy white smoke kept coming out of the CLP power substation. Some residents said explosions were heard after the fire broke out. Police said they received multiple reports at around 3:15 p.m. saying the electrical substation was on fire. The Fire Services Department, meanwhile, said many residents in Qingyi, Shatin, Ma'anshan, Chunwan, and Kwai Chung called and reported lift trapping incidents. CLP Power said the white smoke was caused by some equipment errors at the electrical substation. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. Japan's Ishikawa Prefecture experienced a magnitude 7.6 earthquake this afternoon. Local authorities issued a major tsunami warning. Latest reports say 2 people were injured. Meanwhile, Russia, as well as North Korea and South Korea, issued warnings and noted sea levels may rise on their eastern coast. Timothy Lee tells us more.
In the city of Wajima in Japan's Ishikawa Prefecture, CCTV cameras caught the moment the earthquake began. The violent tremors were accompanied by the emergence of waves of up to 1.2 meters near the shore. A number of buildings in the city were consumed by flames. The blaze destroyed several houses, with the fire sending plumes of black smoke into the sky. Nearby Suzu felt similar seismic activity. Some buildings unable to withstand the tremors crumbled. The force of the shock was strongest in the town of Shika, reaching a magnitude 7 earthquake. Surfaces of roads cracked open, affecting traffic. The local nuclear power plant was not spared. As of now, the power plant and its counterparts in neighboring prefectures remain safe. The Noto Peninsula in Ishikawa Prefecture experienced a magnitude 7.6 earthquake at 4:10 p.m. local time and continued to experience aftershocks. Local authorities issued a major tsunami warning and noted tsunami waves at the Noto Peninsula could reach as high as 5 meters. Nearby prefectures such as Niigata, Toyama, and Yamagata all issued warning of waves potentially reaching heights of 3 meters, urging residents to evacuate immediately. The event marks the first magnitude 7 tremor in the nation since the Hokkaido earthquake of 2018. It is also the first time a major tsunami warning was issued since the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Major cities, including Tokyo and Osaka, were also affected. High-speed trains traveling between the urban centers and Ishikawa have stopped operating. Some local electric power companies reported more than 36,000 households living in the areas affected by the earthquake experienced power outages. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told prefecture-level authorities to ensure the safety of their citizens and give clear indications for the evacuation. Meanwhile, Russia also issued tsunami warnings, warning its far eastern city of Vladivostok may face the effects of the tremors. North Korea and South Korea weather authorities warned sea levels may rise on the eastern coast. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
President Xi Jinping and U.S. President Joe Biden sent congratulations to each other on the 45th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic ties between the two countries. According to a foreign ministry statement, Xi, in his message, said both countries have, quote, weathered the storms and moved forward in general, contributing to world peace, stability, and prosperity. He called the forging of ties between China and the U.S. a major event in history. Relations between China and the U.S. have been strained over the past year over a number of issues. However, Xi met Biden in November in California, a year after their summit in Indonesia in 2022. I am willing to work with President Biden to continue to steer and navigate the China-U.S. relationship for the benefit of China and the U.S. and the two peoples, Xi said. The new year brought little cheer to people in Gaza and in Israel, and the war continues with intensified Israeli bombing of targets in the Gaza Strip. At least 35 people died on Sunday, with Gaza authorities saying almost 22,000 people have been killed over the past 12 weeks. Israel is determined to wipe out Gaza's ruling Hamas group after Palestinian militias raided Israel on October 7th. Nazvi Karim has more.
As fireworks lit up the night skies around the world to welcome the new year, the skies over Israel were filled with Hamas rockets. The barrage from Gaza had little to do with 2024. It was in response to what Hamas says is Israel's massacre against civilians, referring to the more than 150 people killed in Israeli strikes the previous day. Earlier on New Year's Eve in Israel, friends of 23-year-old hostage Romi Gonen organized a dance class in her honor at Tel Aviv's Hostage Square. They want Romi and the more than 100 hostages still in Gaza to come home.
I want to see all the abducted people to come back as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow to Israel, because every day that passes endangers their lives and their suffering and the suffering of the families. And my second biggest dream is to see also this war end. Enough victims on both sides.
For thousands of displaced Palestinians, January 1st was like any other day since the start of the war. Hundreds of thousands are crammed into a small area in Rafah, in the south of the Gaza Strip, after fleeing from Israeli airstrikes. At the Mawasi camp in Rafah, Kamal al-Zainati from Jabalia in the north reflected on the past 12 weeks in which he lost his wife and other close relatives. He said he still has grandchildren buried under the rubble. We do not feel that there is a new year because of the intensity of the pain we live in. All the days are the same, he said. Our celebrations are not celebrations. When can we celebrate? Dozens reportedly died on Sunday in fresh Israeli airstrikes. Gaza authorities say at least 13 people in the central Zawaida area were killed. Casualties were also reported in the Al-Maghazi and Al-Bureij refugee camps. The Israeli military meanwhile said it was releasing thousands of reservists from service in Gaza. They want the men to return to Israel and work as part of a plan to improve its economy. Israel says it has lost 172 soldiers since launching its ground offensive in Gaza in late October. Meanwhile, as agencies call for more aid to enter Gaza to sustain a population of 2.3 million on the verge of starvation, Israel's far-right foreign minister Bezalel Stromitch told a radio station that all Palestinians should leave Gaza. He said Israelis would make the desert bloom if Palestinians leave. His comments go against Israeli government policy, which is to allow Gazans to return to their homes after the war. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen attacked a Maersk container ship with missiles and small boats at the weekend, prompting the shipping company to pause all sailing through the Red Sea for 48 hours. 2 ballistic missiles fired at the container ship were shot down by U.S. Navy vessels. U.S. helicopters also sank 3 of the 4 Houthi boats involved in the attack. More details from NBC News.
Tonight, the most aggressive action yet against the U.S. Navy in the Red Sea since the Israel-Hamas war broke out. The U.S. Defense Department saying 4 boats with Houthi rebels from Yemen firing on U.S. Navy helicopters. Those choppers firing back, sinking 3 of the 4 ships and killing all crew members on board. The 4th boat got away. The incident started when the small boat started firing on the Maersk Hangzhou vessel. The container ship issuing a distress call and firing back until the Navy arrived. The U.S. Central Command saying the rebels were just feet away from getting on board the merchant ship. The Houthis are an Iranian-backed rebel group which controls large parts of Yemen.
How big of a threat are the Houthi rebels?
They've been surprisingly large threat. They say they're targeting Israeli shipping or Israel-associated shipping, but in fact, they're going after what really is 12% of all global commercial traffic.
Sunday's incident, the first time the U.S. has used deadly force while responding to the recent Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. The latest incident coming 2 weeks after the Defense Department says the USS Carney shot down 14 drones launched from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. These waters are one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. Vessels trying to make their way to the Suez Canal in Egypt, which connects to the Mediterranean Sea. But to get there, ships must first pass through the waters off the coast of Yemen. The same area where the U.S. says the Houthis have launched 23 illegal attacks on shipping vessels since November 19th.
Russia continued to hit targets in Ukraine in response to the attack on Belgorod, with the leaders of both countries rallying their citizens in New Year addresses. Russia launched a drone strike on Ukraine's port city of Odessa on New Year's Day, killing 1 person. People celebrating New Year's Eve heard what they thought were Iranian-made Shahed drones hitting a residential building in the city. Amid the attacks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told his people that they have something to smile about, that Ukraine has become stronger. Ukraine is alive, Ukraine lives, and Ukraine fights, he said. In Belgorod, Russia residents laid flowers in different parts of the city in memory of the 24 people killed in Ukraine's attack on Saturday. Kyiv has yet to comment on the attack. Russian President Vladimir Putin, in his New Year's address, did not mention Ukraine nor the war, but he praised the Russian armed forces, saying, "We are proud of you, you are heroes, you feel the support of the entire people." Still ahead, people around the world usher in 2024. In Denmark, Queen Margrethe II announces her abdication. And China's first homegrown large cruise ship sets sail on her maiden commercial voyage. Welcome back to TVB News. Hong Kong is almost 20 hours into 2024, and now most of the world has celebrated ringing in the new year. Major cities on Earth try to outdo each other with massive firework displays and light shows. David Garrett takes a look.
Phones at the ready, 10 seconds to midnight in New York. For the Big Apple had boasted prior to the celebration that no one does it better than New York. It was hard to argue. Massive numbers filled Times Square, waiting for the famous ball to drop. There was a visible police presence, but things went smoothly. Fears the party could be disrupted by demonstrations did not materialise. This was a peaceful night with revellers thinking about the future.
We're wishing for love, peace, happiness, and for them to get married and be happy forever.
Don't let evil take you down, and continue to pray.
Some couldn't talk as their lips were otherwise engaged. In Brazil, partygoers in evening dresses frolicked in the sea at the Copacabana beach as a 12-minute display of fireworks danced above their heads. Not to be outdone, across the English Channel, London also brought in the new year with a spectacular fireworks display. Dozens of colours lit up the sky above the River Thames and the London Eye.
And I think to myself.
Another highlight was the image of a child blowing bubbles to a Louis Armstrong soundtrack. Big Ben at the Houses of Parliament struck midnight. It is set to be a general election year with the incumbent Conservative Party expected to lose. Their politicians will tell you a week, let alone a year, is a long time in politics. Perhaps the best display of extravagance came in the tourist hotspot of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Using the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, as the canvas, the city dazzled in a jaw-dropping light show complete with dancing water fountains. They also set one of the first world records of 2024 with the longest straight lit-up drone display. David Garrett, TVB News.
Denmark's Queen Margrethe II shocked the Scandinavian nation when she used her New Year's message to abdicate. Margrethe is handing over to her son Frederick, saying she made the decision after convalescing from back surgery last year. The 83-year-old is the longest-serving monarch in Europe. Her reign is due to be exactly 52 years when she hands over to Prince Frederick on the 14th of January. She is also currently the only ruling queen in the world. Frederick is 55 years old. His Australian-born wife, Mary, will become queen consort. In his New Year message, Chief Executive John Lee said the government will strive to improve the economy and livelihood of residents. The CE emphasized the need to increase Hong Kong's attractiveness, as well as to boost the nighttime economy and to continue efforts to restore the city to normalcy. He added many aspects of the SAR have turned for the better, such as the end of the pandemic and restoration of governance. Lee said Hong Kong will double its efforts to make use of the city's status as a super connector, bringing in more foreign investment to the nation through the city while helping mainland businesses grow abroad. Chief Executive John Lee outlined 4 requirements for new district councillors today. An oath-taking ceremony for 7th-term district council's members was held at the central government offices today. In his speech, Chief Executive John Lee mentioned 4 points for members, including upholding the basic law and ensuring effective communication between the government and the public. The members then took the oath under the supervision of the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs, Alice Mak. Meanwhile, all district councillors from Wan Chai gathered together and spoke to residents. Some said the purpose of the meeting was to seek opinions and requests from the public. The nation's first homegrown large cruise ship, the Adora Magic City, set sail on its maiden commercial voyage this afternoon. The vessel departed from Shanghai's Wusongkou International Cruise Terminal at 4:30 p.m. The first 3,000 passengers and more than 1,000 crew members began the immigration and customs process at 7:30 this morning. The voyage will last for 7 days and 6 nights and includes destinations such as Jeju Island in South Korea and the Japanese cities of Nagasaki and Fukuoka. That is the news. Happy New Year, and Pearl Magazine is up shortly. See you then.